All right, so question 2 says x is the midpoint of AB. So before I even read any more of that, they told me something about a midpoint of AB, which is a segment, and I don't have a picture. So I'm going to go ahead and draw the picture just based off of this information alone. X is the midpoint of AB. So I know I can make a segment, and I have A, B, and I know X is the midpoint. And what do I know about a midpoint? A midpoint will make these two segments congruent to each other. So now I know that AX is equal to XB. Okay. Will I need that? Maybe, maybe not for this question, but every time you see that there's the midpoint of a segment, make sure you can identify that bit of information. Alright, so now it tells you if B is at negative 3, 7, so we have an ordered pair, so I'm going to just go ahead and fill that in. So B is at negative 3, 7, and X is at 2, 4, and it says, what are the coordinates of A? So this question, I'm dealing with ordered pairs, and it looks like I have an endpoint, a midpoint, and I'm looking for another endpoint. So this one I'm going to use the EMO method, which is, remember, is endpoint, midpoint, other endpoint. So you're going to have the endpoint that we know of, which is negative 3, 7, the midpoint, which is 2, 4, and we're trying to find the other endpoint because we don't know what that is. So now how are we going to do that? We got to see how we move from one endpoint to the other, to the midpoint. So the difference between negative 3 and 2 is we added 5. So now we're going to add 5 to 2, and this should be 7. Now to see how do we get from 7 to 4, we subtracted 3. So now we need to subtract 3 again. So 4 minus 3 would be 1. So this means the coordinates of A are at 7, 1. And that is making sure we understand we're looking for the coordinates of A, which is an endpoint, and we can see that by drawing a picture.